Hello, everyone.
Hi.
How is everyone today?
We got a bunch of people already. We got John and Sarge and Kyle and Fat Batman and Bunny Sockop. Hello.
Hope you are all doing well out on the interwebs.
This fine Wednesday. Wednesday?
I mean, we could just talk about Norse mythology if you wanted.
Hey, what the force is here? Oh, man. How's it going? That's fantastic.
When there's a lot of people here, I always feel like pressure to do quality content.
Don't worry, I already did the customary is my mic on check. We're good. We're not going to have 5 minutes of me not talking. But really quick, before we begin, guys, What the Force is an amazing YouTube-based podcast. It might not be only YouTube-based, but I listen to her on YouTube, and you guys should check her out. My little plug for the day.
Yeah, when I kept looking for Jedi Lost in the iTunes store, What the Force's podcast review of it kept going up until it actually got posted.
So there you go. That's your claim to fame.
So there you go. Yeah, all the podcatchers.
I kept getting Tatooine Sons.
Oh, there you go.
Their podcast result.
But yeah, so we actually have a topic this week. Surprise, surprise.
Congratulations to us.
We're really on that quality train today. And we almost talked about it ahead of time too. So almost. Only almost, but that's
This is better when it's impromptu.
But today what we want to do, which you had a video go up about this yesterday, kind of breaking some of it down, but we want to discuss some of the Journey to the Rise of Skywalker books and comics that are coming out between now and December.
On top of the Galaxy's Edge books and then just the other books. So, I hope you guys like reading.
Speaking of which, Matt Martin said that a lot of the Galaxy's Edge stuff and the Journey to Tross stuff would be connected.
Yes.
So that's something to think about too. I also, before we get started into it, I saw somebody tweet yesterday, I think it was, about the new movie schedule. And they're like, I'm already excited about the Journey to Untitled Star Wars movie books in 2026.
I started tweeting to demand a title already.
There you go.
I need that.
Have to listen to all those conference calls.
Much stuff. Hello, Stuart. Welcome.
Every earnings conference call between now and 2026.
We're gonna be there listening.
Just in case.
You never know what they're gonna announce.
But if you haven't already, I think you should at least bookmark it. The video that you had put up yesterday, kind of breaking those down and talking about the authors and some of that. Because I think more what we want to do, instead of just like reporting or sort of retreading that ground, is kind of talk about things that we're excited about.
Yep.
And then if people in the chat have seen these announcements and things that you might be excited about as well.
The video I did was mostly informational, like this book by this person on this day. So today we want to actually talk about what we're excited about with the announcements.
So is there any like one or two things that you feel like you are most excited about? I feel like we're going to have the same list of things we're excited about.
Well, if you guys follow me on Twitter, you saw that YouTube called me out for what I'm most excited about. And our shameless, we can't go a week without talking about it. There's these big books that are going to be about these big mythological things, and I literally jumped up and down that we're getting a new Choose Your Destiny book. So I don't know what that says about me, but I'm excited for Choose Your Destiny book.
That is the one that I've already pre-ordered.
Over any of the other ones.
Out of all of them.
Yes. You can see the other three here on my shelf.
Fat Batman says that he's already disappointed that we haven't got a novel about Ben's fall to the dark side. I think that novel's coming. I just don't think it's coming till after December.
I'm I'm going to turn on screen share real quick, guys. It's going to be fun. Whoops, hold on. I screen shared the wrong thing. There we go. I almost screen shared the stream. That would have been fun. I'll go down and find it. Yeah, I think Ben's Fall, I think we'll get it. I just don't think we're going to get it until after 9. I think it's the same reason why anything we have about Rey is in between the two films. I just don't think they want to go there yet. All right, but yeah, so here's the Finn and Poe adventure. So this will be the first. This will be the fourth Choose Your Destiny. The first two are original trilogy, Han, Chewie, Luke, Leia, and the third one is Obi-Wan, Anakin in the prequel trilogy. And so this one will be the first sequel trilogy one. And I'm pretty excited.
Yep, me too. They really are just a lot of fun, and I think it's almost sad to me because like I think a lot of people like overlook them because they kind of fit into that category of like, you know, like the early reader children's books kind of thing that a lot of people don't want to pay attention to. But they're a lot of fun, and there's a lot of like references and Legends references even in them.
Yeah.
That honestly you wouldn't like, you kind of miss out on if you don't get into it.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, who doesn't just want like specific Finn and Poe fun? I mean, of any duo they could have picked, I'm pretty excited for this team up.
I mean, I know it's a kid's book, but I'm hoping for a choice where they just go somewhere and close a door. And
I think everyone's like, is this where Storm Pilot happens?
Yeah, play Sabacc behind closed doors.
So like really like some kind of really classic old school Hollywood metaphor happens in there somewhere.
They cut to a train going into a tunnel.
Exactly. It's just like hidden innuendo through the whole book.
If anybody was going to do that, it would be Kevin. But
he'd never admit to it openly, but he would slyly like all the tweets about it.
No. I mean, without going into specifics, we have reason to believe that Disney has told him not to include certain things in these Choose Your Destiny books before. So I wonder what that publisher meeting will be like. But
oh man. All right, I've been kind of peeking over at chat. I got a lot of windows open, but What the Force mentioned the Art of Rise of Skywalker book, which is way down here. There you go. I am excited for this book because of the cover. Like, I want to own this just so I can own this cover.
Right. Yeah, that's really beautiful.
It's stunning. I want to know, like, is this a conception, like, truly concept art? Like, is this, like, thematic art, or is there going to be a scene like this in the movie?
Right.
Because it could be either one.
I mean, it seems kind of thematic, I suppose. But
yeah.
I mean, honestly, I don't know that they would put a lot of the like actual art from the film in it, given that it comes out like so close to the film. But I could be wrong.
Well, it releases on the day. It and the Visual Dictionary both release on the day the movie comes out.
I see that now. Yeah.
But if you look, you can't look because it's not, the camera's on my screen. But I have the Last Jedi art book, and it's the cover is just Rey on Octo with the Falcon. So I don't know. We'll see. But no, I'm excited for this. I like my Last Jedi one a lot. I'm really bad. I haven't read it. I just stare at all the pretty pictures like a good Star Wars commentator. And then what was the other one? I think somebody else in the chat said Force Collector. It's way at the top.
Yeah, apart from the Choose Your Destiny, I think that's the one that I'm most excited about.
Yeah.
Just because I think it sounds the coolest. That's kind of a cop-out, I guess. You know, and we've gotten scenes of people collecting Force relics in like the Aftermath series and stuff like that too.
Yes.
I will point out, for the sake of mentioning this, that Matt Martin did say that the unnamed teenage person in this book would not be Ben Solo.
Right. Yep. People were already asking him about that.
Yeah, he just kind of got out ahead of that one.
Yeah, he said it's a new character. This is somebody we've not seen before. And that's what interests me the most, because if you look at the cover, it looks like at least an arid part of a planet, and most Star Wars and planets are one climate over the entire planet, because that's how it works in Star Wars. So it could be, I mean, just looking at it, the three obvious ones to me are Jakku, Tatooine, or Jeddah.
Yeah.
My guess would be Jakku, because I think if we really are going back to Palpatine, we're going to be going back to Jakku.
Right.
And I don't think I think J.J. Abrams is physically incapable of not making another "Why does everyone want to go back to Jakku" joke in The Rise of Skywalker. Like, if there is not one, I'm going to be really surprised that J.J. Abrams missed that joke.
I do love that he's carrying like a Star Wars Santa Claus sack.
Yeah, right. Lightsaber and like a training. He looks like he's on his way home from like back when there was Toys R Us.
Right.
He's got the Stormtrooper helmet. But I would my guess would be Jakku, and some of these are. But at the same time, though, that's a gaffy stick, like a sand person. So maybe it is Tatooine.
I mean, but Jeddah makes sense too if you're collecting like Force
stuff.
Relics.
Yeah.
So. But guy could get around.
That's true too.
As what the Force pointed out too, there's relics in Jedi Lost also.
Oh yeah.
That were played some pretty big roles in there.
Hey Yagi, welcome. Sorry, I'm kind of looking back and forth.
Yeah. What was it? The Bogan collection? Was that it?
Yes, the Bogan is the technical term for the dark side versus Ashla.
Right.
So, which I think was made canon again by the Bendu, because it was a Legends concept, and I think the Bendu in Rebels brought it back to canon, if I remember correctly.
Right.
But yeah, no, I'm excited for this too, just from the concept of there has to be other people who can use the Force. Like, you don't go from a Jedi Order of hundreds, of however many there were, to, well, now there's no Jedi, so now there's no Force sensitive. So just, and I saw Midway was talking a little bit about Fallen Order, and I'm also surprised they haven't announced any Fallen Order tie-ins yet, unless they might pull an Inferno Squad, and something that is announced might end up being a tie-in, and they just haven't said it is yet.
Right.
But yeah, just to see this idea of what were Force users doing in the galaxy. When there was no Jedi Order to train them.
Yeah. It's interesting though that both of those books are Disney Lucasfilm books, because in this announcement there's only one Del Rey novel that was announced, the Resistance Reborn. Which, by the way, I think has the coolest cover of all of these.
It has the best cover of. The only problem with this cover is there's no Ben on it, but that's fine. We're gonna get that eventually.
Well, it does seem to make sense in a novel about the Resistance that you would have mostly Resistance people.
No, you can just slap Kylo on anything and it's fine. I won't question it.
I mean, I was gonna say the biggest thing missing off of this was Rose Tico, but
I mean, yeah. Every time I type Rise of Skywalker, my phone autocorrects it to the Rose of Skywalker, and I'm like, that is a ship I was not prepared for, but I mean, we can do that if you want. That's fine, I guess.
But in terms of like ones that I think are likely to be like canon important.
Yeah, for sure.
Like this one is probably that, just because like the description of it specifically says like this is the story of rebuilding the Resistance after The Last Jedi.
Well, and if you think about it too, if you think about the past two journeys, as far as I can remember, both of them only had one novel. We had Aftermath for Force Awakens, we had Phasma for The Last Jedi, and then technically Rogue One and Solo didn't have journeys but they had Catalyst and Last Shot.
Right.
But as far as I can remember, the films only ever had one main novel and one YA novel.
Right.
So I think this is what I think is interesting, and this is no slight at all to the author. I think this is probably to her credit, actually, is they've been fostering so much talent in Star Wars right now. Even like, you know, Daniel Jose Older and Justina Ireland had written stuff, and now they're in on Project Luminous. To give like the main kind of centerpiece novel to somebody who hasn't, as far as I'm aware of, written for Star Wars yet, is interesting. But I think that would speak to the I am not familiar with her writing, but I'm thinking that it must speak to her credit that they would kind of come in. She must be bringing something to what they wanted to do with this book that they did not already have in their right. current crop of authors.
And Fat Batman is upset that there's no Snap Wexley on the cover, which, you know, it's fair enough. I mean, I'd be fine if they just wanted, you know, to subtract everything and make Oscar Isaac's face a little bit bigger. But, you know, what can you do?
It's just that picture of Oscar. And, of course, you know, they got Leia on the cover. So I think these books, I think, are going to serve a lot to help us with whatever they do with Leia. In Rise of Skywalker, which is still, I mean, we know how she's going to be in the movie, but we don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah. Leia with a blaster rifle.
Yeah. No less. And then the Falcon, which is interesting. We can see the Falcon on a couple of the covers. If we want to go, the other book I'm really excited for, I have to scroll the doodle down a ways, is Spark of Resistance by Ireland, as I just said. And it has the Falcon on it, too. So the iconography here makes me feel like Rey is going to have a lot of the Falcon, at least until Lando shows up in 9.
Right.
But yeah, this cover's interesting. What's interesting, too, is if you look at Spark of Resistance and... I can just show you guys. Spark of Resistance has Rey, Poe, and Rose, which is an interesting combo. And then, sorry if I'm making anybody sick, but we'll scroll back up here to Resistance Reborn, and that one is Poe and Leia and Rey and Finn. So it's kind of like a different composition in these different books. Obviously, Force Collector is about somebody entirely new.
Right.
But even like, you know, we can start talking about the Marvel comic. That's largely about Leia based on the descriptor.
Right.
You know, and it seems like a different combination of people in every book.
And Sin says in the chat that she wants some more Leia. So there you go.
Yeah, there you go. We will be getting that. But I'm excited for Spark of Resistance too. I've finally read Lando's Luck. I really enjoyed Lando's Luck. And I want to know here with this Spark of Resistance, what is a weapon that could change the course of the war? What does this mean?
And it has to be like Centerpoint Station, right?
Right, exactly. Everything comes back to Centerpoint Station.
It's an Eye of Palpatine.
Welcome! Now we have 2 Johns in the chat. How's it going, Great Canadian Guy? Sorry, I've been jumping back and forth between a couple windows. I'm sorry if I'm missing stuff. Holy heck! We have a lot of people watching.
I know, right?
I needed to... Now I'm nervous. When it's 3 people, I don't have to be nervous.
No. Sim said it could also be the Darksaber. So just...
Ooh.
You know, just throw in all of the...
What about Starkiller Base 2? Just like the Death Star 2.
It's just bigger.
Mm-hmm.
That way they can have another debriefing scene where they just progress. Like it's just, the hologram is so big, it's just they're all inside it.
My favorite meme of that, to get completely off topic, my favorite meme from The Force Awakens was somebody, I think it might have been Hizzy, how it should have ended. I can't remember who did it, but it was like, this is the Death Star, this is the second Death Star, and then then Starkiller Base shows up, but the way they set it up, it looked like Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
It was great. This would be so much funnier if you could see me instead of just staring at a web page, but that's okay. Let's see, we scrolled past the Marvel comic. The Marvel comic, I forgot to talk. Like, I talked about this in my video and like didn't read the plot at all, and I felt really bad. I was really tired when I did the video.
I really think it's funny if this was like the actual cover to the first issue.
Right?
It just says top secret.
It could be. So it's like, in the event that this is not the actual cover, and the actual cover is actually something else that's top secret, I wonder what it could be. Because it says, on the run since the destruction of Starkiller Base, General Leia and the remaining handful of Resistance have barely managed to survive, much less strike back against the superior forces of the First Order. Running low on options, Leia decides to reach out to her former allies, the Mon Calamari, whose shipyards once powered the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah.
So I'm really wondering what could be top secret about that cover, if the cover isn't just what it is.
I wonder if this is a place where we could get some closure for the death of Admiral Akbar.
I was wondering about that too. For those who struggled. I was a really bad fan and didn't even realize it was Akbar in the movie. And then everyone was mad about it, and I went, oh, yeah.
There was a lot going on at the time.
And then I turned in my Star Wars card because I didn't recognize him. Oops. But I'm excited for more. But my thing with the comics is because unless it's something really, really, really special, I don't read comics until they're in trade. So for me, I'm less excited about this only because I won't have this read before I see the movie.
Well, it's possible if they did a pretty quick turnaround because it's October.
Yeah, that's true.
So if, like, usually it wouldn't be that close, but they might expedite it
for the sake of what this is.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are watching my Star Wars Day stream, and you saw me scrolling past all of these, I was like, well, here's a book that's in my reading level, and here's a book that's in my reading level. I kid. I'm not that bad at reading. I'm only slightly bad at reading. Anyway, speaking, and then IDW, I'm really excited. Again, this is probably not the cover, just blackness, but Star Wars Adventures is doing a Rise of Skywalker set comic series where this one's about the Wookiees, basically, and they're going to start in October, it looks like, and run October, November, December. So these I will definitely not have read beforehand either. But I love that these Star Wars adventure comics exist. I like that there's like this anthology kids comic where they can just get away with all of these crazy stories.
I tell you,
can't get away with anywhere else.
One thing that kind of surprised me about all of these announcements is that there wasn't some kind of Resistance tie-in, at least not something that's obvious. Because I feel like, season 2 will be there, by this time. I'm assuming we're going to get like the first half of the season before the film comes out. Mm-hmm. And it seems like this would have been an easy way to incorporate some of those characters, but then again, you know more about season 2 than I do, so maybe that doesn't work. But
I'll say really quick, it looks like Dale dropped by for a hi and bye, but if you're still here, hello. And I see Bosk Bounty has dropped in, so thank you guys. If I'm missing you again, I'm sorry. I'm usually pretty good at checking chat, but I'm not today.
A couple people talking about the ships they'd like to see in some of these books and comics.
Spaceships or
yes. Yeah, like the Mon Calamari ships.
Oh, okay. But what I was going to say to Resistance, I think that in general, I'm surprised we have not gotten just Resistance tie-ins. Like, I'm really surprised they haven't been doing Resistance books and that sort of thing on their own.
Right.
But I feel like something like the Star Wars Adventure comic where they have done Resistance characters, like Kaz has gotten a Star Wars Adventure issue, but they just haven't done them anywhere else. But something like that, you could tie him in there pretty easily. And, they could always pop up. I would say that the Finn and Poe adventure would be a really great opportunity, except for I know for a fact that Kevin cannot watch the show as it comes out.
Right. Because
of how things are released in the UK. So what was it, the Luke and Leia adventure, I think? They had Kragan from the show, and he didn't even know. He didn't know who Kragan was. He was just told.
Just a drop in.
He was just told to put Kragan in the book. Because I asked him about it, and he was like, yep, no idea. I'm like, okay, well.
Fat Batman says he wants Thrawn to show up randomly in one of the novels. And, you know, that does mean we're already getting a third Thrawn book between now and then. But I wouldn't say that that's out of the picture, you know?
Yeah.
You know, especially if we end up going back to Jakku. Like, that's, at least in Aftermath, that's the last, like, in terms of the timeline, the last place we know that he was, Thrawn.
My, here, I'm gonna briefly return my face. Hold on, is that my face? There's my face. I've briefly returned my face. There we go. I think, to me, it would be cool to see Thrawn, but I think what might keep that from happening is, I think Filoni wants to keep control over what happens with Thrawn and Ezra and the Space Whales.
Yeah.
And until Filoni gets to tell that story, I'm not sure we'll know what happens.
That makes sense.
But unless they just bring Thrawn back and they just don't explain it for a little while.
Yeah.
Oh no, Fat Batman, I'm excited for this new Thrawn book because this one's going to have Krennic in it. And again, if you follow me on Twitter, you are well aware of my feelings about anything Ben Mendelsohn. And he's supposed to have like an assistant who worships him, and I'm going to feel very seen reading that book, and I am excited for it.
The Eli guy from the first one is supposed to be back.
He's back too.
Right?
Yep.
I wonder if this will be when they like work in. What was the human kid's name that was in the NJO that like spent time with the Chiss but wasn't Chiss?
Oh, Jag.
Jag.
Jag Fell.
There you go. This
stupidest name.
This is where they can work him back in.
Stupid names. Jagged Fell. That is like the most. I mean, the book came out in the early 2000s, but like that is like the most 90s angst anti-hero cute boy for the chick to fall in love with name I can think of is Jagged Fell.
Sin says Thrawn, Palpatine, and Mara Jade walk into a bar on Jakku.
Jakku.
I mean, 2 out of those 3 are not unreasonable.
And we know that Kerry Russell's code name for her character is Mara. I don't think it's actually going to be that her name is Mara, but like when she was reading scripts, I think her name was Mara as a dummy name. Yes, Fat Batman, Thrawn, and Krennic.
Yeah, her actual character name will be Callista.
No, Django, it will not.
And then she'll go and find Force Ghost Luke, and it'll just be backwards of Children of the Jedi.
Hey, I mean, we've already had Force hand sex in The Last Jedi, so don't question what's possible.
Yeah, Jagged Fell is a very emo kind of name.
Yes, it is.
Before emo was a thing, even.
And then Yaki shows up when I mention hand sex.
There you go. What better time?
Okay, shall we go back to the books? We can go over some of the other stuff. I'm just picking on you, Yagi. Don't feel bad. Okay. What haven't we talked about? Oh, so a friend of mine named Ian, who may be lurking, may be here, I'm not sure, but he's feeling very validated by the Little Golden Book. We don't talk about leaks on the channel, but suffice to say that 3PO's look makes him feel very good about a thing that may or may not have been leaked back before Celebration.
He's not holding a blaster rifle, so that makes me feel good about it.
I'm fine with all of that look as long as he's not holding the blaster. And in defense, like maybe there's a scenario where that works. I just realized that these are frickin' A-wings on the cover. Are you seeing this?
Yep.
That makes me so happy. For those of you who saw, I was playing Empire at War, and I really like having A-Wings in Empire at War. They make me like A-Wings a lot. No one likes Y-Wings. They're slow.
You know who liked Y-Wings? Nora Wexley. If you ever needed a reason not to like Y-Wings, Nora Wexley.
That's right, she flew a freaking Y-Wing.
The worst Star Wars character for the worst Star Wars ship.
Okay, worst is a little harsh.
Is it?
It's a little harsh. I'm trying to think of one that's worse. I'm sure there is one.
What's the Satine's nephew?
Oh, he's the worst.
There
Corgi?
Yeah.
Or something like that. He's named after a dog.
Yeah.
Corgi is the worst.
There you
go. That's the actual... Sorry. I really hate that episode. Don't mind me. It's not as bad as the Lace Mountain Dew one, though. Then we had the World of Reading, Resistance Heroes, First Order Villains.
I'm really curious if anybody, because I know we have a couple of people on our Discord and stuff that are super duper collectors.
Yeah.
And I wonder if this type of thing are things that collectors are interested in.
Right.
Because I can't imagine, strictly speaking, that they're tell us anything canonically different than anything else. But
oh no, what the force? What are you shocked Pikachuing me about? I said a lot of really controversial things. I'm not sure which one you're shocked about.
Fat Batman says the end of the Rise of Skywalker is C-3PO shooting Palpatine in the head with a blaster for revenge for all the mess he's been through because of Palpatine.
That's fair. He'll go for the head.
Right before Palpatine says he's inevitable.
If Palpatine does say I'm inevitable in this movie, I might hit something. But that's okay. So we're going to have an updated Ultimate Star Wars. I think I have somewhere the current one, but it's this is just a big encyclopedia of stuff, which is pretty cool. I'm in for the sticker adventures. I don't know about you. Oh, hand sex. That's what you said. Okay.
Fat Batman also says he likes Y-Wings. Which, to be fair, I had most of the original Star Wars Lego sets, when they first came out, and that Y-Wing set was pretty cool.
That's fair. I feel Y-Wings do kind of get a bad rap. If you watch the Clone Wars, there's the episode where they go on the Balmoral run, Anakin and Ahsoka and Plo Koon.
Yeah.
And they're all in Y-Wings, and it's pretty cool, I guess, other than them being in Y-Wings.
I mean, the bombers that we see in The Last Jedi, though, kind of make them, less important, I would think.
I will admit the only reason why I hate Y-Wings is because I read the X-Wing novels, and they all hate Y-Wings. I have no actual reason for hating Y-Wings.
Speaking of which, I think it would be cool, especially given that the Resistance is kind of on its last legs, to see some uglies. Some fighters that have just been pieced together from parts of other fighters.
Yeah.
That'd be a cool kind of throwback.
Oh, what's this? There's 6 sounds. This is interesting. There's a Resistance with 6 sounds. There's a lightsaber. There's Kylo. I wonder what his lines are. And then there's lightsaber lines, Rey, Praetorian Guard, and Luke. What is this story? What is this story with these 6 sound effects? What? I want to know. There's just the normal lightsaber sound and the fighting sound, and it's a blue lightsaber fighting Kylo, but then there's Rey and Kylo, and I'm confused. What is this?
Maybe the Kylo one is the Matt the radar technician.
It's follow the rise of the Resistance with this 6-button sound book featuring story moments, lines of dialogue, sound effects, and a light-up lightsaber sound module. I mean, I kind of want to get this just because I need to know what these sounds are.
Stuart says the Resistance had one Y-Wing, but it was destroyed in the Poe comic. That's another reason for me to catch up on the Poe comic.
I'm definitely going to finish the Poe comic before I watch. I need to I need to finish both the Poe and the Vader comic. Conveniently, are both Charles Soule before Jedi before Skywalker and before Project Luminous because of Charles Soule. And then I'm really interested in this Where's Waldo book. I like the battle in the magnifying glass.
Yeah,
it's pretty good. And then I'm kind of curious if the cover for the visual dictionary by Pablo is like this really going to be the cover. I mean, like I think the Praetorian Guard is on the cover of the Last Jedi one. But it's like, what does this mean? If you look at this particular stormtrooper, like that's their snow armor. Actually, he kind of looks like what the troopers would be looked like. Oh, look what the blah 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 blah. He looks like what the troopers would look like in the shot in the trailer where Kylo like pones that guy in the chest with his crossguard.
Oh yeah.
So like maybe it's to do with that planet. Everyone's freaking out because I said forced hand sex. I didn't come up with that concept. That is Ryan Johnson. He said it, not me. Ryan freaking Johnson said the forced Skype hand touch was the closest thing we will ever get to a sex scene in the Star Wars movie. You can take that comment to the bank. Anyway. It's not me. Then there's a magazine, and then The Galaxy Needs You. I don't know what this book is. Have you ever stopped to think about how there's no one else in the galaxy exactly like you?
I don't know what that's about either, but I have a niece being born in June, and so
there you go.
She may own that book, courtesy of her Uncle Django.
Well, there you go. It's perfect. I like how this cover is not final. The official guide, that's just like the name.
I'm sure it's something super spoilery.
Right? Okay, but anyway, I think we've kind of gone, unless you guys are worried about the magnetic playset. That's kind of... Oh, and then there's the the pop-up books are really cool. I'm excited to see they're going to bring some sequel trilogy pop-up stuff back. I skipped past that because I got distracted by the Six Sounds book.
Yeah, I know our pal Jay from our forums, he had a lot of old Star Wars pop-up books.
We're coming back when it feels like it. There we go.
So, which one of these comes out first? Is it the Justina Ireland novel?
Yeah, because
October 4th is the same day as the Choose Your Destiny and the first of the comic.
I think October 4th is the first day because that's when a lot of the little kid readers come out. That's Choose Your Destiny, then Justina Ireland. Yeah, I think October 4th, and then November is Resistance Reborn and Force Collector.
Yeah,
and then
back-to-back
the comic.
weeks.
Yeah.
So it's still a ways away.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, that's going to be filled with Crash of Fate, Black Spire, Alphabet Squadron, and Thrawn Treason.
Right.
That we still have. So there's a lot that's coming out. But no, overall, I'm really excited to see Journey to Tross coming out. I was really surprised when we didn't get it at Celebration.
I was too, because like at the end of the Del Rey panel, there was like, hey, there's going to be one, but we're not going to tell you what it is.
Yeah, and then they're like, there's Project Luminous, and we're going to tell you nothing, but it exists, and here's the 5 people that you get to bother about it instead of us for the next year. All of those poor authors, if you watch all 5 of those authors' Twitter feeds, are just like, except for Claudia's, because she's like not really on Twitter, but the other 4 are like, everything is like, but what about Project Luminous? I'm like, oh, these poor souls in their next year. But, I was surprised. And then I thought when it didn't get announced at Celebration, I thought it was going to get announced at San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah.
So now I kind of wonder what they're going to do at San Diego Comic-Con. Maybe that's where we'll learn about any kind of tie-ins to Fallen Order. I know they announced that E3 is coming up. I don't remember when E3 is, but they said there's going to be gameplay footage of Fallen Order, I think. Yeah, I know. Can you imagine being at that summer camp? That would have been like the best summer camp. But
the best or the worst, because you couldn't say anything about it.
Well, that's true. You get to be there, but like you can never tell anyone but the other people who are there. But no, I am excited. I talked a little bit about this in the video I did, where it was interesting with the Journey to the Last Jedi, because the Last Jedi picked up where the Force Awakens left off.
Right.
So all of the stuff that we had that was Journey to the Last Jedi was really just like filling in other things. Like there was a lot of Phasma stuff. That's where we got the Phasma. I mean, the Phasma novel was the main thing. Trust trees. And then we got the Phasma comic, both of which were amazing. But you know, they could do that because what else were they're gonna do?
Right.
Like if you did anything about Rey's backstory, it was going to spoil what we found out in The Last Jedi, and they didn't want to handle that.
And there was no time for anything else. So.
Yeah, there was nothing that happened. So this time, and really with Journey to the Force Awakens, they couldn't do a lot because they wanted to make everything a mystery. Right. So like Aftermath was the primary novel, but it was 20-ish plus years before the first movie. So now they really have an opportunity to take the characters we already know and put them in situations. And I can't take credit for this idea. I saw this on Twitter, but I can't remember who said it. But the idea that we're going to see like Rey and Rose get to know each other in the books and that kind of thing is nice, because then when we see them on screen, it's not now we get to see them form their friendships. Like they're going to be able, like these characters will be working as a team when we see them in Tross.
Right.
As opposed to awkwardly getting to know each other, and introductions when you're trying to resolve characters isn't as fun. So I am excited for this, to get to see how Rey and Poe and Rey and Rose get to interact, or even like Finn and Poe have this great bond. But if you think about it, like they bonded at the beginning of The Force Awakens, didn't really see each other until the end of the movie, and then Finn was in a coma. So like they've, you know, even seeing Finn and Poe like hanging out and dating will be great.
Several people in chat are talking about the possibility of Factpov for Empire.
Yeah.
Which I will be honest, that's what I think Project Luminous is. I know that's not what a lot of people on the internet think. Because, and I'll tell you the main reason I think this is because before we knew it was called From a Certain Point of View, it was Operation Blue Milk.
Operation Blue Milk, yeah.
And this just sounds like that to me. So that's my feeling, that whatever Project Luminous is and whatever form it takes is a version of that.
I can see, I totally get you in the name connection thing. My thing is, the only thing any of the 5 authors will say about what Project Luminous is they keep calling it big. Like they just keep saying it's a really big project. And to go from Factpov, which was 40 authors, to Luminous, which is 5 authors, I just don't know how it can be the same thing and yet be so strange that you would describe it as big. So I kind of feel like not, but we'll find out. I really hope we get a Factpov, whether it is Luminous and it's different, or we get a Factpov again.
Which, another thing that you and I have talked about, since we're like kind of talking about Luminous a little bit, is the possibility. That's kind of the other reason I think that. But is that Project Luminous might be like multi-format.
Yes, I definitely think so.
Which, I will be honest, I was wondering if we weren't going to get another audio drama as part of the Journey to Tross, and at least we don't have that announced right now. But like the turnaround between the announcement for Dooku Jedi Lost and it coming out was really short. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got another one of those by the end of the year.
What the Force is saying, that she was talking to Soul, who said that the title Luminous is apropos. I'm leaning, my personal hope, and this is me projecting, is that Luminous is going to be Force stuff, especially because because of the quote they picked. But we'll see. We'll see.
Jarek Tam says, "Are we going to have books and comics tying into The Mandalorian?"
I hope so.
I can only assume. I don't think that we would get a lot of that until after it comes out, just because I feel like they wouldn't want to like tell us too much that might spoil it. But I can only assume that there would be some type of tie-in material for that.
Yeah, I mean, again, like Resistance has had very little tie-in material, but it's also much cheaper probably to make an episode of Resistance versus Mandalorian if you want to sell tie-in stuff. But I considering that they didn't even want to put like a trailer out for Mandalorian, like I feel like there's just they don't want to put a lot out right now, and I don't know why, but I'm hoping we get some stuff. The next audio drama should be Hux's personal journal where he just complains about Kylo for 12 hours. I mean, I'd listen to that for sure. Although I've already tweeted Kevin Scott. I was like, so when are we getting Dooku Sith Found? Yeah. As the sequel? Like, where's the other half of the story?
I also wouldn't mind Sloane Admiral Lost.
Yes. I wouldn't mind Sloane anywhere.
Yeah. I made that video about where is Ray Sloane like a year and a half ago.
She still isn't there. No, you made that video and then you got in an argument with somebody about how she shows up in the Last Jedi novelization.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Because those are canon.
That's a dangerous conversation to start now with 16 people watching. But yeah, like I was saying, to go back off of our tangent, I'm excited to actually get tie-in material, and like, because to this day, I think one of the best tie-in novels I ever read was Catalyst for Rogue One.
Sure.
I mean, and it's hard for me to say that because James Luceno wrote it, but like Catalyst is one of my favorite books. And it's another dangerous thing to say with people watching, but that book completely changed the first 20 minutes of Rogue One.
Yeah.
And like that whole opening scene is good anyway, but has such a different dynamic. So I want to see stuff like that. Like obviously episode 9 should be able to stand on its own. Like you should not have to read books or comics to be able to appreciate episode 9. But I am hoping that this stuff that we'll be reading is going to make episode 9 feel that much better when you like just to already feel what these connections are going to be like and have that payoff.
Right. I mean, and I can see a Rebel Rising, or Ahsoka or Princess of Alderaan type book for Rey happening at some point.
Oh, for sure. We'll see who gets to write her.
Yeah.
But they got a couple of good candidates.
I was gonna make a joke, but I'll tell you that after the stream's over.
You guys think this conversation is good? You should hear the hour we talk about after we turn the stream off.
And we'll put that on Patreon one day. You can hear our conversation
if we ever have a Patreon
about the canonicity of novelizations.
Hear all of our gripes. Pay money, hear us complain. That's how the internet works, right?
But so we're getting pretty close on time. Does anybody else have thoughts or questions about these novels or anything else at all?
I agree the film needs enough to mention backstory, but not everything has to be mentioned on screen. Not every yeah, exactly. And like, that's kind of how I feel about the whole infamous Snoke backstory.
Yeah.
Now, one thing of note, actually, to bring that up, is not only is there very little material about Kylo Ben, as I'm now going to call him. I decided that earlier today. So Kylo Ben is in none of the, at least is not really described as being in any of them other than like the heroes of the villains of the First Order in the Six Sounds book. But we also have very little, careful what you wish for. But there's also very little about the villains in general, and I'm very curious with that because I think it's interesting in the trailer that they've told us about Palpatine already.
Right.
And, that makes me think he's going to be very involved through the whole film. Like, he's not going to show up in the third act if he's in the teaser trailer. And I want to know his connection. I want to know, did Snoke work for him? I want to know, was Snoke a rival? Like, there's a part of me that would love it if Palpatine and Snoke were rivals, and then Kylo and Rey killing Snoke and having, like, this big hero moment actually played directly into Palpatine's hands.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Like, that kind of, like, oh, shoot, we accidentally, like, helped the bad guy by killing this guy. I think that would be... Ben Solo is the J.J. Abrams mystery box. That's pretty true. That's pretty true.
I was going to make another inappropriate joke. We'll talk about that later.
Just keep notes of all the things we talk about when the stream's done. We keep teasing people. This is what it must feel like to be a Star Wars author. Like, we know all these things that we want to say. Like, we know things, and we're not going to tell you any of them.
Which, Bunny Sock Cop, for whatever people think about novelizations, like, Snoke saying Ray Sloane's name does not count as, like, a conclusive end or a satisfying end to Ray Sloane's story.
It was funny because you literally were like, I want to have a Ray Sloane story, and people were like, well, she was in the novelization. It's like, no, she was mentioned in the novelization. This is not a Ray Sloane story.
No.
I mean, I am wearing a Kylo shirt, and I have been obsessing over Jedi Lost, and then I reread Darth Vader's Castle this morning, so I've had a pretty dark sidey day, Sin. In fairness. But yeah, I think it's interesting that none of the lead up material really seems to be about the villains. And I think a lot of that is not wanting us... I really think they don't want to show us anything about Kylo Ben. But largely because I think they want to leave what happens to him, like, they want us guessing, Right. I mean, I make my jokes about, or not jokes not the right word, but I make my declarations about, being a Bendemtionist, but I really don't know. And I'm excited to see what the movie does. And I think they want to leave that intentionally open. But where I'm kind of like, it's like, man, they're bringing in Palpatine, and, like, where is there going to be any mention of it? I mean, imagine Leia's response. Like, she's, in Force Awakens talking about how Snoke is the one that corrupted Ben. And then, like, just kidding, LOL, Palpatine's around? Like, how's Leia going to take that? Like, she'll be like, just another way my father let me down, I guess. I don't know.
I wonder how somebody, I mean, which we're definitely certainly led to believe that Casterfo from Bloodline died at the end of that book. But
no body, no crime.
But I wonder, like, what somebody like that would think about the return of Palpatine, too. This person that, like, never experienced the Empire but kind of idolizes it.
Well, I really wonder what Casterfo would have thought of Starkiller Base in general, firing on Hosnian. How that would have changed his opinions.
No.
That's what we're here for.
Womp womp.
Womp womp. Sad notes. Sad notes for Leia. I mean, we laugh, but, like, she really has such a bad time in these movies, this poor woman. Like, never knows her parents, except for when her dad tortures her. And then, like, her son, like, kills her estranged husband. I mean, like, it's, like, straight out of Hallmark Channel for Leia Organa. It's pretty sad. I really hope they do well for her. I'm really curious. Like, for me, it seems so obvious that they were going to kill Leia and Tross, and now I'm not so sure because of the footage they're using. How wild would that be if, like, Leia lives on after these movies?
That'd be pretty cool.
Would be.
But now I'm just
she
thinking...
needs a spa day. She does need a spa day.
Now I'm just thinking about a Disney Plus Leia movie starring Candace Cameron Bure as Leia after you said a Hallmark movie. It's set at Christmas time.
No, Life Day. It's set during Life Day.
Right, and it turns out, is the secret daughter of Life Day Santa Claus, and they have to stop the big corporate ski lodge from taking over Kashyyyk. And also CGI B. Arthur's there.
This happens a lot, actually. Then when you say like Life Day Santa Claus, now I want like Force Collector Boy to it's like the Santa Claus movie, and like he has
fell
to
off
take
the
over.
roof.
Yeah. All right.
I think that's gonna do it for us today, guys. Be sure to like the stream if you have not already. There are more of you watching than have liked or disliked, so I'm talking to you. Go ahead and hit that like button. Make sure you're following us on all of the things. We're on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and you can join our Discord linked in the description. And let us know. Give us your pitch for the Star Wars Hallmark special.
For the Disney Plus Star Wars Hallmark show.
But other than that, I think that's gonna do it for us today. We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you so much, guys.
Bye.
Bye.